fuoco del cielo vorrei ridarti le dolci brezze del patrio suono. Una regola cerco sulle crin posarti, faraggiarti la trono, avvicina la sol.
Fire, fiery love. I am Lady Nada. I am one of the lords of karma. I minister you on peace, love, and service. On the sixth ray, previously occupied by Jesus or Sananda. Now the Kohan's office is officiated by me. In this Tuesday, I'm here not to talk about my service when it comes to ascension, related to my ray of operation, which is the sixth, or my work in the karmic board. But I'm here substituting Serapis, the great disciplinarian, the Kohan of the fourth ray. Serapis is the keeper of the ascension flame, and Serapi has also been highly involved with the ascension initiations taken inside of the Great Pyramid of Giza for so many years. And Serapis also hold classes in his etheric retreat over the geographical area in Egypt called Luxor, and in the octave reality upon Luxor he also has the Temple of Ascension, where he is the highest hierophant or the highest magistrate there. He invites countless of chelas around the world and in other planes of existence to come to Luxor, so they can pass through the most hardening tests on the ascending spiral path of ascension. Today I speak in Serapis' behalf, since during this pandemic time, the office of the fourth ray Kohan is vacant. The ascension flame and the ascension teachings had been for many years associated with the Kohan of the fourth ray, since he was also the one in charge of those subjects, but not for much longer. In a few decades time, from your perspective, in the time-space continuum, another which is ascending will be holding the position, the responsibility, the assignment of being a keeper of the ascension flame, and also the being the ascended master, which will conduct all the affairs pertaining the ascension temple in Luxor, and also the University of Spirit in the Ascension Temple's facilities, and also the courses regarding ascension in Luxor. So, because of this conscious movement that is now taking place to separate the one in charge of keeping the ascension flame alive and burning from the office, which is the Kohen of the fourth ray, and it involves a lot of preparations, a lot of dispensations, a lot of communications with all the other ministries, part of planet Earth's hierarchical system. I'll be here feeling Serapis Bey in his office as a Kohen every Tuesday through this channel until these preparations that I've just talked about have been fully concretized, have been fully brought about and finished. So today I'll not be officiating this teaching session with my usual sponsoring of Twin Flames teachings, with my usual, which brings me so much delight, sponsoring of the family unit teachings, or sponsoring you all in the path of the Ruby Ray. Today I'm here to transmit teachings pertaining the fourth ray, whose Kohen is and will continue to be Serapis. So it's a great privilege for me to come the day of the week, which will also be the time for my Ray's teaching video. I will also be coming around, so I'll be coming around twice a week for your delightment. Serapis will be popping every now and then through this channel with separate dispensations which have nothing to do with his ray of operation, which is the fourth. With this said, today I'm here to talk about something that is of very well awareness to all of the masters within the fourth ray, which is skeletonus. And skeletonus is tied to this video's theme. This video's theme being the freedom of beingness. Yes, the freedom of beingness. I haven't said that wrong. It's not the freedom of beingness, but it's the freedom of beingness. I'll explain. Is to free souls from the doom of beingness. Yes, so we are playing with words and their construction. So let me tell you about, for a few minutes, about freedom of beingness. For doing that, I'll use skeletonus. But before, let me bring to you this curse and this blessing normally given when Serapis instructs CHAMAS on this video's theme. So it goes. Blessed be thou our mastery. Cursed be thou art non-resiliency, prophecy comes true to those breaking these such warningful kind of words. Solomapita. Solomapita. Okay, the curse and the blessing has been cast. So now, really keep your words to the minimum. Silence your being. Don't look away. Skeletonus is a measuring stick. It is a measuring rod. This is a stick, this is a measuring rod, this is a beating rod. They're all chalices of Serapis. Through their work with Serapis, under and within the fourth ray, we one day receive. Is this measuring stick or this beating rod which has given Serapis the name of the great disciplinarian. Because he disciplines you under his guidance, he disciplines you within the fourth ray's inner levels with skeletonus. One day you will skeletonus others as well, until they yield their own skeletonus, until they brandish their own skeletonus. So now imagine this very thin, slim, but long stick that can be used to measure spaces, but can also be used for what you call on earth to display some type of disciplinatory violence. At hitting hard and persistently the chalice hands, hitting their back with such blows, hitting the skin part of their body right around and above their root chakra. This is Serapis' ways. Don't be afraid. Don't be scared. He is the great disciplinarian. He has to use such a bridge. Being one of Serapis' chalice is no easy task. It's unheard of chalice that had an easy time with Serapis. You're having some advantage, I see, because I am the one today lecturing you on Estelionas. What a privilege, what an honor. So now, as with your etheric body, or with some part of your etheric body, or with a parcel of your consciousness, you travel during the night time or during the night sleep stay to the entrance of the Ascension Temple over Luxor. You barricade anxiously to learn from Serapis at the entrance gates, at the huge entrance gates. So imagine now, the gates are open, and then you see these priests. They come, 12 each side. They go down the entrance steps at the entrance door, a few meters away from the entrance gates. Imagine. They position themselves on either side of the path in between them and in between the entrance steps and the entrance gates that have now been opened. And then the one serving those 12 priests, also 12 in total, they come with his measuring sticks, these rods, and they equip each one of their 12 masters with skeletonases. Now, there might be 200 cellas there with you on the outside before the gates open. Or there might be, I don't know, 1,000, 2,000, 1,200, 1,000. It doesn't matter. Only 12 will get through this penitency. Be a penitent woman and be a penitent man. The 12 priests, they raise up their skeletonases. And then when you look into the inner yard of the temple, when you look to the front yard of the temple, right, there is the path in between these two batches of priests, 6 on one side, 6 on the other side. You see these faint displays of smoke being materialized, popping up in middle-air in the path in between the two batches, each consisting of 6 priests. This is these smoke clouds, they pop up in middle-air and then they vanished. And the moment that they vanished, one priest in particular, followed by the other that is having on its side that smoke cloud materializing, down the skeletonus, like if you was to heat that smoke cloud. And it keeps happening for 33 minutes. And as you are so entrained and as you are so much watching what's taking place with your spiritual eyes, you don't realize, you don't perceive. Imagine now that the group, the large group of aspiring cellos next to you on the outside of the gates that have already been opened are kind of growing smaller and smaller in size. but you don't notice, but there is a divine sensing of it. And then when you look back to that path in between those two batches of priests, each consisting of 6 priests on each or on either side, you see that some of the small clouds popping up in middle air, they materialize into a full human being, or in a silhouette which resembles a human being. And then they are hit in their lower back when that silhouette is materialized. So a skeletonus from a specific priest hits right at the moment that that human silhouette transpires or is manifested in that silhouette's lower back, and they are propelled forward. The silhouette that is now a fully seen human, they are propelled with the heat very hardly to their knees in front of the entrance steps. And now you keep seeing that entourage of small clouds that just pop up in middle air and then they vanish, and then some, you know, end up being the materialization of a human silhouette. You start the more human silhouettes to start popping up where there was once, just a few seconds ago, small clouds. So the number of these human silhouettes now being propelled and hit hard to the front of the entrance steps kind of grows exponentially bigger. And then now you notice, you look to your sides, and where are all of the cellists that were aspiring cellists that were by your side? Oh, they're not there. And then when you see, boom, you were hit by a skeleton. As yes, your consciousness popped out of the space outside of the entrance gates. You feel like you are spheres rotating around other spheres like a complex mechanism. In that moment, if you would be still looking from outside of the gates into the inner yard or front yard of the Ascension Temple, you would see that this experience within your perception of the spheres rotating upon spheres and connected to other spheres as part of a single system is actually you being manifested in that path between those two batches, each of 6 masters as a small cloud. And then now you'll start materializing back now into the inner yard as a human silhouette. And in the moment that is almost finishing, now your consciousness is taken back to the most sufferable lifetime, a single lifetime that you had in one of your incarnations on earth. Or the most suffering event from all of your lifetimes up to that point combined. To the very moment that the highest peak of pain was felt. And that your consciousness is being taken right back to that moment, down to that memory lane, is skeletonus. Actually, if we would see it, that scene in the front yard is still playing right in front of our spiritual eyes, hitting your solar plexus chakra and making you to revive or to relieve the feeling, the most painful feeling that you have ever felt in all of your lifetimes. And then, although it feels like, or if you still would be that person on the outside of the gates watching in, you undergoing the initiatory entrance into the facilities of the Ascension Temple, although from that perspective it would seem that the skeletonus would only be hitting you when you had already finish as a small cloud and now already materialize as a human silhouette, in the inner plane, what's actually happening is that if you don't materialize as a human silhouette, which is your token of entrance into the Ascension Temple, as you would have been seen by a third you, like if you were a third party, it's because in the moment that you relieved the pain, it's still as that smoke cloud, you couldn't relieve it, and you fainted and you went back, your consciousness was rolled back into your physical body, wherever that physical body is in the physical plane of this earth. So you couldn't pass the most basic test to be given entrance, to be granted entrance into the Ascension Temple and to become a Chela of Serapis. You couldn't relieve that pain honorably, lovingly, compassionately. This is why you were witnessing before you're being catapulted as a smoke cloud yourself, when you saw other smoke clouds popping up very briefly in mid-air and then popping up out of that existence in that etheric plane, because all of those aspiring Chelas couldn't relieve that past pain with divine discipline. So they fell through back into their human physical lives until another chance. Now, if you feel the skeleton is hitting your lower back right into your solar plexus chakra, which means that now you have shifted from just a smoke cloud, as if someone would be seeing you go through that, into a real human silhouette. And now when you are materialized between the two batches of priests, it is because you have stored the most suffering moment in all of your lifetimes up to that point, or the most suffering lifetime of all the ones that you had, in the right manner, with love, compassion, and divine discipline. And now, the only thing that he really feels is the skeleton is hitting the skin of your lower back. But the energetic momentum created is not of that energy clash, the energy friction between this measuring rod or beating rod touching your etheric skin, but that energetic momentum that always revolves around that pocket of consciousness that experienced the most suffering moment in that specific lifetime, or as an entire lifetime. So that's why you are propelled, you are pulled towards and into your knees before the entrance steps so swiftly, like if you were being swayed away by a hurricane or by very strong blows of wind. And then there comes Serapis. Now he comes through that dark, very badly illuminated corridor. Serapis comes with his own skeletonus, with his own measuring rod, own beating rod, and now he will not beat you. Only 12 Chelas pass through the sorting out to be accepted into sacred space, into sacred land, which is the facilities of the Ascension Temple. Just 12 kneeling on their knees at the feet of the entrance steps of the main building of the Ascension Temple. Now Serapis Bey raises up his skeletonus and precipitates it over the fourth eye and touches the fourth eye of each one of the 12 accepted chalices. And this is the freedom of beingness. You can only be free in that freedom that you speak about if when in ascension you relieve the doom, the most damning moment of all the lifetimes that you had until that lifetime where you choose to ascend. The most damning lifetime of all. And if you relieve it wisely, with no repercussions, with not getting stuck in that relieving, so now you're free. But the doom will always be there. So that's why it's not freedom, it's free doom. Doom has always to be there, imprinted in your consciousness. So you are always aware of how to not let your moving consciousness to fall into the dormancy, into the latency, which sprouts the plague of doom or suffering. Doom is the guidebook. You gaze with your spiritual eyes over the doom that you've lived. And soon, you know what free means, what free is. So there is no freedom without that dumb, which is actually doom. There is no free being. There is no free beingness without the awareness of the doom in freedom. And this is the first lesson. Even before you being granted access, official access and secured access to the facilities of the Ascension Temple over Luxor, as the sorting out task to see which lives, which embodiments of souls, which soul beings will be catered to Serapis' high standards and levels of the serving of his own satisfaction. In regards to those who wanted to ascend through the ascending spiral of ascension conducted by Serapis himself. This is the freedom of beingness. Then Serapis touches with his skeletonus each one of the 12 chalices on their fourth eye, and in that moment, with their hands aloof beside their body, and with her heads down in respect to Serapis, the very own touch of Serapis Esterlinas onto their fourth eye precipitates the materialization of an etheric nature and imprint or blueprint of their very own wooden skeletonas or measuring stick or measuring rod. Now Serapis says, "Come, cellos of the world, come. You mastered the first doom, the doom of your own self. In all lifetimes, to the reliving of a specific doom, a suffering moment, which catered there all the high intense vibrations of all the other dooms that you had suffered in surrounding lifetimes in regards to that one. So now, come cellos of the world, learn to master the doom that isolates and that destroys and that burns the world of men with me inside of my temple of ascension. Come, cellos of the world, come. I will teach you. And as you learn to be of service to men, you will have attained a greater degree of aura light. Because if you can bear your own suffering and transmute it, you can bear the suffering, that doom of 1,000 screaming worlds of self throughout the cosmos. He turns his back. He goes on walking into that badly lit wide corridor in the main building, as one of the buildings within the facilities that make up the Ascension Temple. The cellos look to one another. They now have their own skeletonas, which is made of wood, and through successive tests will be upgraded with better materials, from wood to silver, from silver to gold, from gold to ruby, from ruby to violet, from violet to crystal. They look to their skeletonuses, they look to one another. And they proceed on. They enter in. Behind them, the 12 priests with their 2 batches are no more. The gates are already closed. First lesson was just the beginning of mastering freedom in its fullest form. Freedom of beingness. And then it echoes in the etheric air, in the etheric octave, Serapis saying, I am Serapis. So now, as nada, here is brought about the end of the first lesson for this week. This is being dispensed, this information of how cellos are granted access into the facilities and into the Ascension course with Serapis Bey at his Ascension Temple. So, this knowledge of how things work, how things roll, may be imprinted in your consciousness. And that part of your consciousness which holds the registration of your most suffering moment in a specific lifetime, or a lifetime that was a summation of all the sufferings in all lifetimes, maybe affected with the anchoring of this energy of this initial trial or test given by Serapis to aspiring chelas. So when you go through it in your ascension, when in your night sleep you go and request and plead to Serapis to be accepted by him and to be trained by him, you may successfully go through that test unharmed and ready to bear within your consciousness being the burden of the suffering of 1,000 screaming worlds throughout the cosmos. I am Nada. I'll come to you next Tuesday for another Serapis dispensation on ascension. Love, fiery love. Thank you for listening.